So, guys, let's start out with just a little review of last week. We're talking about parenting, right? And we know that the ultimate goal of parenting is to shape the hearts of our child to be a follower of Christ. And the Bible gives us this plan. It gives us this step-by-step plan. And this is our foundation for our whole series. And I'm gonna reread that and just remind you. If you remember, our plan is found in Deuteronomy. And it starts with step 1. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your strength, right? First step is about us as parents. We have to have things right. We have to be living the right way and setting the example for our kids. Step 2 is found in verse 6. It says that these commands that I have given you are to be on your hearts, right? You can't teach your kids something you don't know. And the fact that it's on our hearts means that we've internalized it, all right? It doesn't mean you have to memorize the entire Bible or, nothing, but it means that we have those principles on our heart. Step 3 is the beginning of verse 7. Impress them on your children, right? So you take the way that you're living, this way of life, and the commands that you have on your heart, and you begin to impress them onto your children. So all of this, if you remember, is all about the action, right? It's the action. But now we're to the talk. We have to combine action and talk. And step 4 says, talk about them. When you sit, when you travel along the road, when you get up, when you lie down. So it's telling us throughout the day we should be talking about this, and we're going to get more into that in our schedule in just a little bit. But that's our foundation, right? And today we're going to be building up on that foundation, and you're going to see that this is a very important thing. We're talking about shaping the heart. So I got this what do you call this? Play-Doh. And you want to shape your child's heart, right? To whatever, Maybe I'm not good at this stuff, but maybe like a cross. Does that look like a cross, kind of? A bad one? All right? Looks more like Jesus. But that right there's the goal, right? Right? So we have some parents sitting here, right? Amanda, I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to shape this, to shape the child's heart, okay? And let's see if you all pick up what this next step, what has to happen, right? So keep in mind, you're doing everything right. You're living the way you should. You're a good example for the kid. Are you ready? You got 5 seconds. Ready? Go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Failed. Still a ball. That's no good. Jay, you're up. Jay and Cassie both as a team. Here, we'll leave them do this. We'll break it apart. All right, ready? Okay, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's not the heart. That's not the heart, Jay. That's the spleen. That doesn't count. So what am I saying? What does the little Preston have to do for the parents? I've got to open my heart and actually give it to them. They can't shape it if I won't open the heart for them. If I won't open up, here, Jay, you can have that for the rest of the time. Don't let it distract you. If you want to impress the words of the Bible and the lifestyle of the believer and the love that Jesus has for them on their heart, they have to be willing to give it to like you. You can't, a child who is closed off to like you, who is not going to trust, you, who doesn't think you have the best thing in mind for them, you're not going to make any impact on them. And even as parents, we can't demand this of our child. I mean, we can demand all we want, and it won't happen, right? We have to have that child feel safe. And that's what today's message is. I had originally wrote that this is about creating a safe home. But here's the thing. If you're like, my kids are all grown, or I don't have kids, I don't want kids, you may think, I'm not getting anything out of this. No. Because here's the thing. You don't have to be a parent of a small child to impress these things upon someone. Okay? Because, unfortunately, a child's home is not always their safe place. Right? There's times it's not. At times, their safe place is school, or it's church, or it's grandma's house. Right? And I know for some kids, it's not even a place. It's a person. This person is their safe place. Right? So no, this really applies. I hope that you are making an investment in not only the children in your own life, but in the kids here at church. And if you are, I hope this helps. Because what we're going to do is we're going to cover 3 things that you have to have to create a safe home or a safe place for a child if you want them to open their heart up to you. And those 3 things are peace, protection, and predictability. Peace, protection, and predictability. And we're going to start with peace. I'm going to read you a verse out of, John. There's so many verses we could read about peace that God talks about, but I thought this one really is good. It's Jesus who is speaking here, and he says, I've told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. I feel like Jesus is doing the exact same thing that we as parents or grandparents or whoever are trying to, do. He's telling these folks, I am your safe place. I know the world's awful and it's dangerous, but with, me, it's okay. I think Jesus really strives to give us peace. He wants us to lay down our worries, our cares, our insecurities, and just trust him. Our God is a God of peace, and not that he's always peaceful, at least not in our minds. I think you read a lot of things here that God does, and it's not peaceful, but he doesn't say he will bring peace to earth. He says he will bring peace to us and to our hearts. Do you bring peace to your children? When they are going through a hard time, things in their life are chaotic, are in turmoil. Do you bring them peace, or do you add to the trouble? A way you can bring peace to your child: unconditional love and acceptance. Unconditional love and acceptance. If they know that no matter what they do, that you are going to still love, them and accept them, that's a peace, right? That is a peace. Knowing that you have a place that you are always loved and always accepted no matter what, that brings a peace. In Romans 5:8 it says, but God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. I think it's important that we let our kids know that we love them no matter what. And there's nothing that they can do to make us love them less, right? But also, I think it's important that we make sure that they know there's nothing you can do to make me love you more. I'm maxed out on loving you. I can't go anymore. I can't humanly do it, right? There is nothing you have to prove for me. So when your child opens their heart and they show you something ugly, what is your response? I know for me that's a learning curve. I'm kind of reminded, Joyce says that when something's wrong at her house, that she just goes to her husband and she's like, fix it. I'm the same way. When my kid tells me of some problem, all I hear is, fix it, Dad, fix it. I think a lot of times our kids only get praised when they do something good, and they get correction when they do something wrong. And then the rest of the time, there's kind of nothing. So they only get that feed, back when they do something really bad or really good. And I would encourage you to take time and tell your child how much you love them, how much they mean to you, when there's absolutely nothing that warrants that talk. The next thing is protection. I love how the psalmist puts this. It says, You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. So, is your home, is your arms the place that your child wants to go when they are most fearful or hurt? Is it with you? Are you their hiding, place? As I said, for a lot of kids, home is the last place that they want to be, especially when they feel threatened. Home might be the place they feel the most, threatened. But is your kid's hiding place, as the psalmist puts it there, is that where they want to go when they're scared, when they're threatened, when they're insecure? Words I wrote down to make your child feel protected is forgiveness and understanding. Forgiveness and understanding. Listen to this. In Colossians, it says, bear with each other and forgive each other. If any of you has a grievance against someone, listen to that last part. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Guys, forgiveness is not an option. I think a lot of times as Christians, we forget that. And we treat it like it's optional. Right? It's not. And I think a lot of times, I know I'm guilty of this, we've used it as a tool, as a punishment. I'm going to punish you by not giving you. We can't treat it as, optional. It's commanded. It's one of those commands you're supposed to have on your heart. And with our kids, that's what creates that security. I know our kids are going to mess up, but we should forgive them. I know there's times I've heard people say, it took me a long time to forgive this person. It took me years. Well, you didn't forgive them. The grudge just wore out. You just got tired of holding it. You didn't forgive them. And think about that. We are to forgive as God forgave us. What if God forgave us the way we forgive others? I'm going to tell you, parents, you think, man, I've dreaded this moment all week because God put this on my heart, and it's a story I just don't want to tell you. Not because it is bad, but I just don't want to say it. There was a time Kingston was 1 or 2, I don't know. I just remember he was sitting on the floor. He was about that big. Okay, does that make sense? He's little, and he did something. Don't know what he did, but I was upset with him. What in the world could he have done? He was 2. I don't even remember him really talking. I was upset with him though, and I remember Amanda was in the kitchen washing dishes, and Kingston couldn't walk. He crawled some. I think he could walk a little, he could walk a short distance. But Kingston was sitting in the floor of the kitchen. Like I said, he's about that high off the ground. And I'm upset with him, and I've always been hard, on him. And I walk by him, and he looks up at me with those big blue eyes, and he does this. I knew what he wanted. He wanted a little fist, bump. He wanted to know, Dad, everything's okay, right? And I looked at him, and I walked right by him. And Amanda grabbed me and said, honey, doesn't that break your heart? And at that moment, I'm still in upset mode, and I'm being tough. I'm like, no, that boy's going to learn, or whatever. What could he have done? I wish I knew. At 2 years old, what could he have possibly done? He couldn't talk, so he wasn't smarting off or anything, right? Later that night, I remember Amanda's words came true. My heart started breaking. I thought, man, why would I ever? All I could picture was those big blue eyes looking up at me, just Daddy, please let everything be okay. I imagine in his mind, he don't even understand. He just knows that Dad is upset. And I just want me and Dad to be okay. And then God hit me with, this. How many times in my life, as God's son, have I messed up, looked up at God and said, God, everything's cool, right? You do forgive me, right? We are okay, right? God's never left me hanging once. But I did that to my, kid. And I imagine that. Imagine in that 2-year-old mind. Do you think that brought him peace? Do you think, I'm sure as a 2-year-old, you don't get it. Our kids are going to mess up. And that don't mean we just let them out of everything and there's no consequences. There should be. But they also need to feel safe. You can be upset or frustrated or disappointed, but we can't let those emotions outweigh or overshadow the love, the understanding that we have. So let's move on to first. It's kind of nice that I get to be on the floor. I'm walking back here. Hey, boy. I love you. I'm sorry. That tears me up every time. I don't like. You ever have things that you wish you could just forget? Like, why aren't those all the other stories that you forget? Oh. All right, the next one, predictability. I believe this is something we all desire. Predictability doesn't mean boring. It just means that we're removing uncertainty. Uncertainty, I saw this thing and I thought it made so much sense. Uncertainty is at the core and it's the root of all anxiety. When you think about the things that make you nervous, that you're worried about, it's uncertainty, isn't it? It's just, I just don't know. If I knew, even if it's a horrible thing, if I know what's going to happen, I'm okay. That's how I feel. Most of our fears, that's where they come, from. It's not knowing. How many of you might have even felt a little anxiety when you walked in here and you saw, oh gosh, what's happening? Why are there Clay? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Is that why you were saying nope, nope, nope as you walked in? Okay. So and why? Because it's like, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. That creates that anxiety, right? Our kids are the same, way. We have to create things that are predictable for our kids. We have to make clear these are the consequences. These are the rewards of your actions. We have to follow through on our statements. They need to know that if mom says, this or dad says, that, that's going to happen. That's exactly what is going to happen. And we need our schedule to be somewhat in a predictable way. Oftentimes, a child that doesn't feel safe at home feels safe at school. And I think one of it is because of the predictability at school. Think about it. At school, they start at the same time. There's a bell that's going to go off. They know who the teacher is going to be. They know they're going to eat, and they know when they're going to eat. There's a predictability there. And I think that there's something that makes us feel safe in all of that. We need to have our schedule be somewhat in a predictable way. Speaking of our schedule, I want to ask you a question. Just answer this in your mind, okay? It's a multiple choice, all right? A, B, C, or D. When my child grows up, my greatest hope for them is or was A, to be gifted in an athletic way. B, to be intellectually advanced. C, to be very popular. Or D, be a man or woman of God grounded in the Christian faith? Now answer that in your mind, right? And I'm sure most of you, you're answering D, right? Well, I'm in church. Pastor's asking. I got to say D, right? I can't say anything else. No. That's why. Answer it in your mind, okay? Now, let me ask you something else, but the same answers. Think about your schedule. Think about what you do on a day-to-day. And here's what the question is. What do you give the most of your parenting time, money, and focus to? A, athletics. B, academics. C, social. Or D, turning them into a man or woman of God. Here's the thing, no matter what you answer, they need to be the same, right? If you know not, I mean, we're, at best, we're confusing our kids, and at worst, we're just hypocrites, right? We're saying, no, this is the most important thing, but we're going to give all of our time to this, right? Now, I'm not saying that sports or education or social stuff is bad. Those are good, things. But we should teach our kids that none of those things should be placed above God. Our faith, should be just as much a part of our schedule as anything else. And here's the thing. Here's the only trick to, I guess, any of my questions. You don't have to choose. It's not God or this. It can be God and this, right? And God is concerned about our schedule, even in our scriptural foundational verse. The last verse is all about our schedule. It tells us exactly when to do, things. Even in the commandments, God tells us to keep the Sabbath day. It's our schedule, right? God cares about, that. And you might say, but Preston, you don't get it, man. We are just so busy. Okay, if you are too busy to have time with God, then you're way too busy. It's time to cut stuff out, right? But here's the thing. Again, it's not I have to choose this or this. It can be both. Because we can make God the priority in our schedule and in our time by just looking at the last part of our vision here, right? It says, talk about them when you sit, whenever you're traveling, when you lie down, when you get up. Those are all things that we all do every single day. God doesn't want you to carve time out for Him. He wants to be part of all of it, right? Whenever Kingston was younger, he started collecting these soccer cards. And he had thousands of these cards. And I remember what I would do is say, hey, pick out a card or two. Anybody you want. Pick out a player. He'd pick out a couple, and I'd say, how about we pray for these guys? These are real people, right? How about we pray? Let's just pray that they have a good, game whenever they play, that they don't get hurt. Let's pray for their families. So I didn't have a time for God and a time for soccer cards. Me and Kingston are playing soccer cards, and we're just hey, God, why don't you join? And God's always yes, I'll do that, right? That's all that was. And that's what our verse is telling us, to include God in all that we're doing. Include Him when you're when you're traveling, when you're sitting around, eating. God doesn't want to be a time slot on our schedule. He wants us to invite Him into everything that the family's doing. Make Him part of the whole family. All right, I'm going to end with this. I want to give you a challenge. You're going to ask your kids something, but there is a rule. And if you're not going to follow the rule, please do not do it. It'll turn into a really bad day. Okay? But here is is our questions. Sit down with your kid individually. So it's like Jay. If you got 3, you don't sit down with all 3 at once. Each one individually, separately, and ask them, how am I doing as a parent? There's no judgment here. You can't get in trouble. How am I doing? What's something I do really good, and what's something I need to do a little bit better? And let them talk. Okay? Here's the rule. okay? There's no excuses, and there's no rationalizing, okay? If your kid tells you something and all you're going to do is say, well, you're wrong about that, just don't even do it, okay? That defeats the whole purpose. Just let them talk and take all of that in, and that will be a great first step in capturing your child's heart. Guys, if you would, please stand. Guys, as always, if you have a decision to make, the altar's open. If God's convicting your heart to be saved or to rededicate your life or whatever it is, this is an awesome day, for it. But if nothing else, pray for God's guidance. Whether it's as a parent, as a parent, an uncle, an aunt, whatever it is, pray that God guide us as we try to impress these things upon these little gifts that we have. And let's make a commitment that we're going to make our home a safe home, that our church is going to be a safe place, right? And make a commitment that you're going to be a safe person. You're going to be one of those people that kids look at and say, that, right there, right with that person, that's my safe, place. Whatever God is putting on your heart, I ask that you respond. And the altar is certainly open.